I do know why. My DMs is full of why. But
Hello and welcome to the RTÉ election debate for December 2023. I'm joined on stage by 3 of our 5 party leaders, and in order from left to right, that is James Aitchison from Fine Gael, Ognian from Labour, and Nicholas Crawshaw from Fianna Fáil. Tonight's debate is no doubt going to spark tension given the adversity we face in this country and the difficult circumstances ahead of us. Now, we're going to begin with opening statements, beginning from left to right, 60 seconds each. We now begin with James Aitchison from Fine Gael. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks so much, Killian. Look, this term, actually, to be honest with you, completely frank with you, the last few terms have been an absolute disgrace. Constant Labour governments that have failed not only themselves and have let their own party down and their own people down, but the Irish people as a whole. As a result, we've completely suffered. Activity is at an all-time low. You look at Dáil, the Dáil Éireann attendance rates, it's below 40%. Government attendance this term has been horrendous. I think the last time I looked, it was at 38%. Really does show you, like, there's times where government TDs have turned up twice. There's only 2 government TDs turning up. Really, we all deserve a little bit better. The community shouldn't suffer as a result. We should see an active, stable government that does not only just deliver for themselves and actually, make themselves proud, but the Irish people on a whole. And it's something that we deserve, and it's something that has been long awaited. So I think this term, we deserve better. We need people who are actually interested in the community, want to do well for the community, and have the time to do so as well, and the commitment to do so. So this time, I think, vote Fine Gael, vote for something that actually matters. We care about the Irish people, we care about the community, we've been about it for a long time, and we obviously want to deliver for you. So yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you, James. That's James Aitchison from Fine Gael. We'll now move on to Ognian from the Labour Party. Ognian, your 60 seconds starts now.
Thank you, Killian. I wish to thank you and your front desk for organizing another election debate. It's much appreciated that my party, with I newly elected, is held to account. I know that our manifesto is not out yet, but it will be out tomorrow, and tomorrow most probably, so the people could look at it, and we have a breakdown policy where it is more simplified for policies. I need to agree that in recent terms were in not the best ones, with the inactivity of term, which I believe is more of a collective issue which should be worked on by every party, not by only the government. Also about the government, the Labour Party is going to propose policies which are going to defend and talk about it in this debate about holding us to account about the people's questions to the government from the people and etc. So let's hope this debate is going to be a fun one.
Thank you. That is Ognian from the Labour Party. We're now going to move to our last introduction statement from Nicholas Crawshaw, the representative from Fianna Fáil. His leader is, of course, Crowlerian. Nicholas, your 60 seconds begins now.
Killian. Look, Fianna Fáil going to this election have one aim, and it's all around activity. Activity in Ireland has reached an all-time low under the Labour government. Activity in the Dáil, activity in SSUs, in the Gardaí, in the IDF, it's all gone. Fianna Fáil want to rebuild everything, basically, to get up activity. Start focusing on recruiting for the IDF and the Gardaí, so we can start hosting SSUs again, have Gardaí there to patrol, have the citizens there to have their fun as well. We also want to look at the Dáil. The Dáil, the activity there as well, just hasn't been there for a government party like Labour. They were defeated on multiple bills, but ones they could have easily won just because their TDs did not show up to vote. They were other places. They've had the highest replacement number of TDs throughout the term. They just don't have the people there anymore to support them in government. Fianna Fáil want to be in government. We want to work for the citizens of Ireland, to get activity back, to serve the people, and to keep Ireland moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. That was Nicholas Crawshaw from Fianna Fáil. We're now going to move to domestic affairs, I should say. There are 2 questions. You have 60 seconds for each answer, and we're going to do this in random order. This is question number 1. Inactivity has plagued Ireland for quite some time, although things seem to be on the up recently. How are you going to not just sustain, but grow public services such as An Garda Síochána and Ólaigh na hÉireann? We're going to begin with Ognian from the Labour Party, as this is a random order. Ognian, your 60 seconds starts now.
Well, thank you, Lana. What an excellent question. Well, the Labour government. Wait, what the hell is going to? Okay, never mind. As I was saying, if elected, the Labour government is going to actually work with the Garda and work with the development team with the preparations of the administration of the Garda, because currently we have no proper game until it's released. But we're going to rework the structure of the Garda with the commissioner if possible. We're also with the military, we have plans with the creation with peers with other nations and with the Department of Foreign Affairs to do peers and other events, including the military parades, and to give the military more fun to do, which could sponsor the activity and the interest within. And about the Garda and
I'm
the other
afraid that's
public
all we have
services.
time for, Ognian. Your 60 seconds is up. Just to keep it fair for other party leaders, we're now going to move on to Nicholas Crawshaw from Fianna Fáil. You have 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Thank you again, Killian. As I was touching on there in my opening statement around the IDF and the Gardaí and the activity within the organisations, it's very easy for a party coming into government to say we're going to change everything, we're going to introduce all these bills, get activity back up. But what we want to do is we want to appoint 2 active ministers for the Justice and Equality and for the Minister of Defence to work with the Commissioner and the Chief of Staff to help their organisation, because governments go, governments don't always last. We want to try and build a foundation from them, hearing from the members of the IDF and the Gardaí to see what we can do to actually help them get active and stay active. After even if we leave government at some point, we want them to still be able to be active. It's not about just being active while we're in government, but it's about continuing on that activity after we've left. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very punctual. We're now going to move on to James Akeson from Fine Gael. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. You have 60 seconds.
Thanks very much, Killian. Look, I completely agree with the point that Nick just made there. It's not just about the here and now regarding activity, it's actually about the long term. It's something that we've noticed in the community. A lot of governments and administrations just focused on the here and now. The right now makes us look great. Never thought about the long term, and as a result, we're actually seeing the consequences of such. So when it comes to our public services, Garda Síochána and the Defence Forces, and not even those guys, there's the ambulance services, for example, as well, the National Ambulance Service that we also have to consider, which a lot of people often overlook. It's things like, obviously we had an issue these past few terms regarding the game and the game being taken down and stuff. But if we can get that sorted, it would be great to see like disaster scenarios and situations being actually role played within the game, which allows not just the members of the emergency services to actively do something, but it also allows the members of the public to actually be like, hey, actually that's pretty cool. I actually would like to do stuff like that. And that's how things like that, actually seeing them in operation, seeing them doing stuff like in game, actually like encourages people to get involved more and get more engaged with the community. So that's like an idea that Fine Gael, we obviously pushed that last term, didn't happen because of the game issue that
I'm
we
afraid
had with the
that's all we
developers.
have
It's no
time
one's
for,
issue,
James. I'm
but you know what I
sorry.
mean.
I do hate to cut you off, but we do have to be fair to other party leaders. I believe that is everyone. They've all answered the questions now. So this is an open debate period. If you'd like to launch questions at one another on the topic at hand, on Garda Síochána and Ólaigh na hÉireann, then now would be the time to do so. Just feel free to launch one. And if I have more than 10 seconds of awkward silence, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, could I just pose a question there to Ognian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
You're coming from the Labour Party, you're the new Labour leader, I understand that. But we'll say Labour has been in government now for the past 2 months and even before that. Yet Ireland is still inactive. And the activity has gone down under Labour.
Well,
Why should the people kind of trust Labour again to try and bring activity up again?
well, there are multiple reasons. First of all, the game is down. Second of all, I would think you should consider that there is a new leadership in Labour with new leader who is not, sorry to interrupt, but with party leaders who are leaders for like 6 months, we're a new, more fresh alternative as a leader. And as I said, we're going to work with Gather until the map is back. So, and we could cooperate with the commissioner and with the public to do reconciliations about the activity and what events they wish to do, because we want to introduce a joint server with the emergency services so they could cooperate and coordinate properly for more roleplay events. And one of our core values is a busy city, which means wish activity in the game, which sadly right now cannot be achieved until the map is back.
If it's okay, can I just ask a question to the Labour representative
Yeah,
as well?
I will have to push you for time though.
Obviously, no, 100%. Obviously, the past few terms we're all suffering as a result. Can you categorically say right now that Labour apologises not just to their own members but to the actual community for their failures in government? Not just on Gar Síochána and the IDF has suffered. The entire community has suffered as a result. Do you accept that responsibility and apologise for it?
Well, a true leader must. Wait, hold on. Wait. Yeah. I think we should rather than move on and consider our future rather than regret our past, because as I told you, I was in cabinet, but I wasn't really involved within the cadre or with the armed force. I was related with representing the government in the Senate. I think you should focus more on the future. This debate about the future, not about the labor sections.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all we have time for in terms of open debate, ladies and gentlemen, or even just gentlemen, who knows. So we're now going to move on to the second question regarding domestic affairs. It is 60 seconds each, and again, random order. This is the question. With the aforementioned inactivity harming Ireland's domestic potential and success, what efforts will you and your party take to improve the circumstances facing the community? We will begin with Nicholas Crawshaw. Nicholas, you have 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Thank you again, Killian. As I said in my past two speeches there, again, Fianna Fáil is not trying to get activity up just under our government. We want prolonged activity with For Ireland. And that means we have to, it's very easy for us in government to say, this is what's going to bring activity. This is going to what's bring activity. But really, for ordinary players playing Roblox, playing Ireland, we have to ask them. We'll say what I am hoping to do now in the next term is actually have consultation sessions in the Fianna Fáil server for every citizen of Ireland, no matter if they voted for Fianna Fáil or if they didn't. So they can pose questions to me to see how we can improve the activity, certainly on the activity, of course, for other issues as well. And so if they have any questions, I can also raise them at all on their behalf. Because it's about understanding what their needs are in getting activity up. Similar to what I was saying with the Gardaí and the IDF. You have to go to the members and ask them what they need to become active and to stay active. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. We're now going to move on to Ognian. Ognian, you have 60 seconds. I can repeat the question if you like. Your time starts now.
No, thank you, and I understand the question. So the Labour government and the Labour Party understands about the recent inactivity within the game, but as I said in my previous two speeches, we're going to focus on a busy city. As I said, we're going to make a joint server with the emergency service to ensure more RP events and coordinations. We're going to create PRs with the military and with other nations' defense forces to ensure activity and more fun and interest within the armed forces. We are also going to work with private businesses and development team to bring them in game and support them, which I am going to explain if we are going to have a treasury question, the business. We're also going to create events about regarding the Irish culture, which will be if we're going to be I'm going to elaborate more further if there is a question about the community culture and language. So, until the game is out, we should more focus on the politics of the game because, as I said, the political inactivity should be considered by all parties and
I'm
should
afraid
be
that's
to
all we have time
politically.
for, Ogden. I really do hate to interrupt, but we do have to keep it fair for other party leaders. I believe the final party leader to answer this question is Mr. James Akeson. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can, but you have 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Yeah, just like really what the rest of the guys kind of said there. They do have some points. I think trying to get people more engaged. Something that I'm personally passionate about. And I know maybe some of you will remember is when Taoiseach questions were actually done within the Discord server, a public channel where random individuals from all walks of life within the community can literally ask the Taoiseach direct questions and they'd answer them on the stage. Something as simple as that actually gets people engaged, gets them excited, hearing about plans directly and answering and holding their elected representatives to account. Other things like community events, we have the football starting to lively up a wee bit, which is great to see. Maybe things like that. We could go down the route of, more in-game events. Obviously, like guys have said, the game has been taken down a few times. We can get that up and going. It could be great to see. State visits, for example, we can get our emergency services, have that actually in-game as well. Might be absolute carnage and chaotic as fuck, but it would be class and a bit of crack, which is what this community really needs. Something, to kind of unite us and have something like that, just not some boring old crap with people talking shit in the corner. I actually need people, to get engaged a little bit more. And I think that's what realistically, this is where the community has failed. It's just not the politics end of things, it's just everything in general. People have just kind of given
I'm
up.
afraid that's all we have.
Just need that bit of
All we have time
game
for.
killing, yourself.
Yeah, thank you, James. So look, that is the end of the domestic affairs section. So, instead of an open debate section, given that there doesn't seem to be much appetite for debate in the domestic affairs section, I would give party leaders an opportunity now to speak on a topic of their choice, something like maybe League of Ireland or a personal statement about a recent scandal. This is their opportunity now to talk about it and launch it on another party leader. It can be any topic of their choice, not just tied down to domestic affairs. This is your time now. All right, we'll move on to the economic affairs section. There are 3 questions in this section, so it is the largest one, and you will have 60 seconds to answer each one. This is question 1. Irish journalism and media seems to be lacklustre recently. What are you and your party's aims to improve the situation? I'm going to begin with James Akeson. You have 60 seconds. I can repeat the question if you like. Your time starts now.
Yeah, Gillian, I'm so sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, that's fine. Irish journalism and media seems to be lacklustre recently. What are you and your party's aims to improve the situation? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, 100%. I apologise for that. Obviously, as most of you know, I am quite an adamant supporter of free speech and have countless court cases against the Press Council regarding my own media being censored and whatnot. I think when it comes to the media, what realistically we need to do is, try and revitalise it. Now, personally, as an individual, I'm not that keen off purging out inactive businesses and stuff. It is hugely unpopular, but realistically, I think we need to have a look and see the media businesses that are registered and who haven't done anything in the last maybe year or so. Like, realistically, why are they there? We need to try and encourage that, try and encourage some more journalism within the communities. Press conferences, like I said, those open stage channels allows actual, people who are interested to ask questions and things like that. You have the National Union of Journalists, you have other unions as well. If the government actually engage with them, actually listen to their ideas and stuff, you would be surprised what could come out of that. So that's kind of what my attitude towards it is. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, James Akeson. We're now going to move on to Nicholas Crawshaw. You have 60 seconds. I can repeat the question if you'd like. Your time starts now.
Could you repeat the question? Thank you.
I could, yeah, that's fine. Irish journalism and media seems to be lacklustre recently. What are you and your party's aims to improve the situation? You have 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Look, personally, I run a media company as well, Anglo Irish News, shout out. There's nothing really much to report on in Ireland at the moment. There's nothing happening. The election is happening. There's a bit of activity now in the media channel about that. RTÉ is slowly getting going again as well, which is great to see. But apart from the legal Ireland stuff, which is great to see, that actually keeps the media channel active a lot. There's not much else for the media companies to report on, because again, it all goes back to the activity. People usually, a lot of things will be reported on from SSUs. Gardaí involved in a shooting here, IDF are doing this here, but that's not happening. Again, I know this goes down to the lack of the server being available, but we just need to make more activities for media companies to report on. And again, I would agree with James as well. We need to do a small review of the media companies that are currently there. Maybe those that haven't been active in quite a long time need to be reviewed. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. I would also just like to add, by the way, when I cut off party leaders, it is because I'm trying to keep it to 60 seconds, but also if they sound like they're about to end their point, I do give them that 10-second extra little boost in case they're just about to end their point and it sounds bad when I interrupt. But just in case people have this idea that I'm trying to annoy them and agitate them by giving them lack of time. But anyway, move on to Agni, the last person to answer this question, I believe. If you'd like me to repeat it, I can.
Thank you, Killian. So I agree with you. The media has been in the recent decline, but from what I see, in RT is still up and down. But that's because of you. Regards to the private media companies, I didn't hear from leaders party that they're going as a government how exactly they're going to do it, because if Labour are elected, we're actually going to create direct communications between private companies where we're going to hand them information about them to document about. We're going to create a direct communication between them to ensure transparency, etc. We are also going to work with them to streamline events of importance, such as ministerial questions, toxic questions, legislative questions, etc. For example, either also football play matches, and we're going to encourage media companies to report on. We're going to help them on what to comment about. But I also should agree with them that sometimes there is lack of news to be reported on.
Thank you, Agnian. I believe you were the last person to answer that question, so we are going to move on to question 2 of the economic affairs section. And again, I do actually encourage party leaders to interrupt one another if you want to spark a debate. I know previous Director Generals were kind of hesitant, particularly Dean. He was very strict on you must remain to your time, leave it to the end segment, but I don't mind a bit of interruption that sparks debate. Question 2. Businesses seem to no longer register at the rate they used to. How will your government incentivise the registration of enterprise and business in Ireland and foster economic growth? We'll start with Siobhan, we'll start with Agnian then. Agnian, your time starts now. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can.
Yes, please.
Businesses seem to no longer register at the rate they used to. How will your government incentivise the registration of business and enterprise in Ireland and foster economic growth? Your time starts now, Agnian.
Well, first of all, there is, as I said, there is no game, so it's harder to do in-game businesses. But we're going, as I said, going to do public consultations with current business owners to see what is needed. As I said, as we promised, we're going to create a scheme where the government will support the starting businesses by providing them campaign posters, leadership advice, and management advice and materials to help them grow. And the government is going to help them to start. I believe we should also work with the developers for creating more in-game businesses such as taxis and transportation as well.
Thank you, Agnian. We're now going to move on to James Akeson. James, if you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. Your time starts now.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, obviously businesses in general, along with everything else, Labour has murdered and butchered and buried in deep in a Donegal forest. So yeah, I think realistically what we want to do is, I know it's an issue that some people have talked about. Haven't heard it in a wee while, but it's something that has been flagged to me personally, is about the lack of registrars. within the department, which has obviously delayed business registration, and then people get frustrated and are not as keen to do it. Obviously, I know that's not the only issue. It may not be an issue anymore, but that was the last I heard of it. Things like advertising as well. Some incentives. Like job fairs, advertisements, billboards. We can talk to devs about throwing a billboard here and there, stuff like that. I think it might get people encouraged. I'm sure some of you will remember we used to have a very popular sausage roll business extravaganza at one stage, where sausage rolls used to be thrown in riots, silly things like that. It used to be actually quite fun. And I think business owners in general have kind of suffered, and realistically it's Labour's fault. Labour, just typical socialists, have killed everything. And they'll sit here and they blame there's no game and everything.
I'm
but at the
afraid
end of
that's
the
all we have
day,
time for,
there's other
James. Thank you
issues.
so much. But we'll now move on to Nicholas Crawshaw. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. Your time starts now, Nicholas.
Thank you. Yes. Again, within trying to benefit or boost activity within the business sector, we Fianna Fáil would kind of like to work with the devs, kind of similar to what James was saying. Before, if it was applicable for the business, they might be able to get a little house or place of work within the actual Middletown or Glasgow. Now, sorry, we will say that's all after fading away. Because businesses just aren't there anymore. There's not as many of them that are applicable. We just have a lot more businesses now that are focused on a lot of stuff outside of the actual Glasgow game, whereas Fianna Fáil would like to integrate more Glasgow-focused businesses. We've seen this in the local link. That was fairly active at one point. We had a lot of good bus drivers there, people who were willing to come on for when there was an SSU, drive people around, have a bit of fun on the bus as well. It was good crack seeing the bus go 90 through Glasgow, running over a few people as it went.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for, Nicholas.
Thank you.
I'm afraid we have to be fair to other party leaders. Yeah, that is a very fun memory, by the way. We do love a bit of local link going 90 down the motorway, running over a few innocents every now and then, particularly during unification, blocking tanks. But anyway, that's a tangent. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everyone has answered that question. So we're going to move on to question 3, which is as follows. Ireland is often the leading nation in terms of innovation and creativity. How do you plan to continue this tradition, and what new ideas or innovative policy does your party offer? We're going to begin with Nicholas Crawshaw on this one, Nicholas. This is your chance to redeem yourself and maybe fly away from the buses going 90 miles per hour. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. Your time starts now.
I stand by the comment, but can you repeat the question, please?
You stand by the comment. Yeah, so Ireland is often the leading nation in terms of innovation and creativity. How do you plan to continue this tradition? And what new ideas or innovative policy does your party offer? Your time starts now.
Thank you again. But as I was just speaking about there, getting Glasgow Octave, getting businesses into Glasgow, one thing that Fianna Fáil want to establish is the fire and rescue service. Something that, from what I know, isn't very major in other Roblox nations. They just don't usually have it. Of course, this would take a lot of discussions with the devs. You have to add some sort of fire script, but to be very applicable. People, what you can get in Glasgow, you can get the Molotovs, throw them. Fire service would have to come out, put out the fire. It gives them something to do. It gives the guards someone to chase. It gives the normal people in the Ireland group who aren't in politics, which many people aren't, something that they might be able to sign up for, something that they can get active in. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very punctual. Yeah, we all love throwing a bit of Molotovs every now and then, letting the guards chase us down the road. Right, going to move on to James Akelson on this one. James, if you'd like me to repeat the question, I can, but I will judge you. Your time starts now.
Thanks very much. We all know how Nick loves throwing petrol bombs and fire bombs at people. We all know what he's up to in the free time.
They don't know any better. They don't know any better down in
That's
Cork,
true.
do they?
That's true. That's the joys of being on the dole. But yeah, like 100%. In terms of innovation and stuff, obviously I did touch on the football. It's great to see that kind of kicking up again. I know League of Ireland, FAI, I think that's that's the right abbreviation. And stuff like that. And give them a little bit more support and everything. Obviously, I think when it comes to stuff like that, if we could try and get that a little bit more engaged, actually have something that's a bit of fun. Who doesn't love kicking balls around a bitch? Like, we all love balls, it's great. And stuff like that. I think when it comes to creativity, Irish people in general, we are quite a creative bunch. Whether it's riots or fires or sausage rolls or bricks being thrown, we all come up with solutions to cure our boredom, which in results makes us quite a lively and attractive community, full of rides, as we all say. But yeah, stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, it's as long as you're having fun, and no matter what you're doing, it could be as something as stupid as
I'm
building more
afraid that's
trees
all
like
we
your
have
Green Party
time
used
for,
to do.
James. Sorry. We do have to keep fair to other leaders. So that is the sorry, I'm missing a party leader. I'm so stupid. Ognian, if you'd like me to repeat the question, I can.
Sure.
Yeah. So Ireland is often the leading nation in terms of innovation and creativity. How do you plan to continue this tradition, and what new ideas or innovative policy does your party offer? Your time starts now.
Well, Ireland is just better. That's the answer. But to be more in depth, I think we should focus more not only on terrorism and such more violent events, but I think we should create, for example, inspections in game. And as I said, the ideas doesn't come from the government for such events. They come by the community because they're actually the one who played the game. And yeah, if we're elected, we're going to focus on ideas which make fun to the community and benefits us because after all, it's only Roblox. And we just shoot them, self-show our sausages, and escape the police.
Very true. Very eloquent. Right. So that is the end of the economic affairs section of questions. We had 3 of them, so quite a mouthful. If you'd like to begin throwing questions and attack lines at each other, now is the time to start the spice. I am going to give you about 5 seconds to unmute and start launching a question at someone.
Yeah, quick question there for Ognian, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just a question. When was the last time you attended a doll session?
Oh, could you repeat the last time I attended?
Yeah, last time you attended a doll session on Roblox.
If I'm not sure. I'm not so often on Roblox because of school activities recently, but I believe in around a month. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So, from what you've been saying this whole time, you're trying to promote an active Ireland, but you haven't even been active yourself in Ireland.
Well, I'm active on Discord and sometimes Roblox. I do must admit I'm not so often on Roblox, but as I told you, the game comes from the community, and if you like this Toshik, you do realize I don't organize the events. I work with the development team and with the authorities to create them. I am always willing to accept the request of somebody who wishes to do some more silly event or something like that. I'm always willing to help and create that as much as possible fun events. That I don't believe that stops me from creating more fun ideas.
But no, but we'll say like, let's say some miracle Labour win the next election, you'd be the Taoiseach, and a Taoiseach that hasn't been there in a month, sorry, is a Taoiseach that's going unchecked.
Well, I don't agree with you because, as I said, I wasn't able to go because of school studies, which now are almost gone. So I had more time to play Roblox and actually do my job. That's why I didn't run in the first place. That's why I'm running now, if you understand me.
I
Yeah, well,
don't
that's
really,
fair
but
enough.
okay.
I completely agree with what you're saying, Nick, regarding Labour and stuff in their attendance. Like, it's been an absolute graveyard, but we shouldn't forget as well that Fianna Fáil's attendance this term has also been horrific. There's times where they didn't turn up at all, and as a result, we haven't met the quorum. And correct. I'm sure people will correct me if I'm wrong on this. There's been countless times. I could probably count maybe 5 times that the we haven't sat because we haven't met the quorum, and that's obviously not just Labour's fault.
I've fact
Social
checked this, and
Democrats and all the
there's
rest of
been
it,
one
but it's
occasion.
also
There's been one occasion on which
One.
the Dáil
There's been a
has not
few
met.
now, Killian. I know there's definitely been a few.
No, I'm
But
looking
like I
at
said,
the
like
Dáil
it's not
sheet
just.
here. I have it in front of me, and one
Can I
sitting is.
interject as well?
Well, I think James was making a point there, but I just want to let the facts speak for themselves. There's been one sitting
Well, there you
where
go. There's the facts. Like I said, don't quote me, but there has been times where we haven't sat because we haven't hit the quorum, and there's been times where Fianna Fáil has not turned up. Like maybe one or two, you guys have turned up. You know what I mean?
You currently have a TD sitting who has not. He's only been there for four sessions now. I'll give him a leniency. He hasn't turned up to one. He hasn't been at one session. According to this, he's not even in the group. You have a sitting TD who's never even went at all.
Talking about Serb, well, actually, there was issues with
Well,
Serb, and clerks will verify this with me. There was a delay, with him, getting in and all. Like, obviously, I'm not going to make excuses for him.
He could still go to the session.
Well, Fianna Fáil is the party with the most party which has changed seats. So, I believe both of you has some blame to get. So is most of the Teverma.
Right, that is the end of the open debate session. Loved that. Love a bit of activity debate. Love being held to account, and I love that I had to give a fact check. That is God. We love RTÉ, don't we, guys? Come on, we love RTÉ. Right. So we do have a next segment called International Affairs, but first, I want to move on to a new segment. We have not involved this in debates previously, but not stream debates like this, not in Donnybrook Studios. So this is a new segment. I'm now going to read out some questions sent in by our viewers. Gasp! Shock! Horror! I know your party leaders are terrified, but let's just see how they react. So this is one question for all of the party leaders. This is kind of under our next segment, International Affairs, even though this is an entirely new segment about audience questions. Do you want Ireland to join the European Union? That is the question on topic. It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no answer. Okay, so no. Well, one sentence. I'll give you one sentence, but I'd really prefer if you did yes or no. We'll start with James Akeson. Do you want Ireland to join the European Union? Yes or no?
Personally,
oh
no.
My
God! It just comes from experiences that I know EUs have failed in the past. So it obviously depends on circumstances, but personally, I would say no.
Okay, we're going to move on to Ognian. Ognian, do you want Ireland to join? No? Very quick response. Wow. We're going to move on to Nicholas Crawshaw. Do you want Ireland to join the European Union?
No, Fianna Fáil would not want Ireland to join the EU. No.
Okay, brilliant. We're going to move on to the next section of audience section. So this is from... I'm going to address this to all party leaders, even though it kind of primarily concerns Labour. This is a viewer called... I want to get this right. Jessie D. Fennington is her name, but we're going to call her Jessie. Hey, Jessie, etc. So we're going to go on. I have voted Labour every single election since I joined Ireland almost 3 years ago, but I now find myself voting for Fine Gael. In my opinion, Ireland has been dead for a long time now. The same policies and dead ideas have been pushed for months, and yet nothing has happened in regards to activity. Do you actually have any plans to improve this, instead of random updates to the justice system and military, which do nothing to help the experience of the average citizen? Now, I hope you've listened, because I'm not repeating that. That is a question addressed to each party leader. We're going to start with Ognian. So, Ognian, this voter seems to want to know if you have any actual changes for the ordinary citizen.
Well, it's quite sad to have such a Labour veteran to go away, but people change their views, their policies, their principles. But to be honest, in the manifesto we're going to release, most probably tomorrow, there are a few policies which aren't mentioned in any other manifesto. So I can proudly say that Labour has its unique ideas.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ognian. We're going to move on to James Akeson. So, James, this voter seems to be drifting away from Labour and now to Fine Gael. So, what is your party going to do for the average citizen?
Well, obviously, first of all, Jessie is not the first one. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for obviously, we align some things, and you're obviously very, very welcome into the Fine Gael family. I think we've all become disillusioned when it comes to Labour. Labour has failed us completely. And what we need to do as a community now is kind of, lock heads, put party politics aside, and actually come together and be like, right, okay, this community's dying. what the fuck do we do? We need more community events. We need to actually do things, and community events, whether that is an arts and neutron, working with sea and stuff, having garden parties, doing just a bit of crack, not drugs, but you know what I mean, having a bit of crack and stuff like that. And like the football, for example, I keep mentioning the football's doing well. I want to kind of promote that. I don't think it gets enough promotion, especially from governments that failed it and stuff like that. There, your emergency services. Like I said, if we get the game back, we can do disaster scenarios in game. We could have terrorist attacks, for God's sake. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff we could do. The ideas are endless. It's just limited by how active the people want to get involved and the commitment that people are willing to put into it and energy people into it. And I think Labour on a whole has completely failed in terms of energy. It's like kicking my dead grandmother, to be honest. So yeah.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for, James. Thank you. So I'm going to move on to Nicholas Crawshaw. Nicholas, this person seems to be drifting away from Labour and moving to Fine Gael. But what does your party actually offer, Nicholas, for the average citizen that and their experience?
Well, one thing in a way, big win that Labour losing a voter. Glad to hear that. But what we intend to do is that we want a major recruitment drive for Ogra. As I said this before, establishing the fire and rescue service. But similar there to what James was saying as well, I remember events that were in Glasgow. Might have been in the older Irelands, but we'd Purge Night. That got a lot of activity there, people coming around. It was good fun for everyone involved. You didn't have to be wary that you might get arrested by the Gardaí. You could do whatever you want. It got activity there. It was for everyone in the community, no matter who they were. We also want to reform the Department of Communities. We want to do that. So again, looking at the Glasgow, getting it active, getting it up and running, keeping it up this time, and to prevent it from being taken down. But again, that would be done so working with the devs to make sure the issues are fixed in that regard.
Yeah, thank you, Nicholas. Very punctual. Whoa, I think 0.33 seconds before I cut you off there. Right. We're going to move on to the next question now. This is the final question for the questions from the audience segment. This question is targeted specifically for James Akeson. So, James, you seem to have a bit of a fan in this one. I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to answer this question. It is, what is your proposed cabinet? You have 60 seconds, James.
Oh, they won the list. Okay. So as you guys know, or maybe actually you won't know, we've had some internal changes within the party. People sadly like Kenny has left us. God rest his soul. He's just, he's died or well, I don't know. And obviously people like Vicky has went to the deep state, and is no longer with us either. So we've got new faces coming in. We've got Mikael, we've got Max coming in as well. We have Jared, we have oh my god, I can't remember her name. Lacey. And people like that who, have been involved either in the background or have been in the Senate or been in the Dáil. We've got people like Serb as well, obviously. We all know Serb, who are actively involved within the party, and are keen to get back involved within Irish politics. People who actually genuinely care, might not have bucket loads of experience, but they are passionate about the policies, they're passionate about their areas. And I think when it comes to things like that, you've got to give people a chance, because I think the old guards kind of died in Ireland, and because of that, the new people coming through were never given that chance or opportunities to break into cabinet. I think you need to give those opportunities. So yeah, I'm more than happy to mentor people. I'm more than happy to give people the experiences and
I'm afraid that's
opportunities
all
to
we
grow.
have time for, James. Sorry, but okay, so that's the end of the kind of audience segment. We do have one last segment, which is international affairs, which involves 2 questions. But before we move on to that, this is again your second last opportunity to rip at each other's throats on the topics we've just discussed. So, proposed cabinet, activity for the ordinary citizen, European Union. This is your time. Okay, so very eager. We're going to move on to international affairs. 2 questions. Question 1 is, Ireland's highly professional Department of Foreign Affairs is often credited with many successes. What qualifications does your foreign minister have, and what experience can he bring, or she, to the department? We'll start with Ognian. Ognian, you've
Well,
60 seconds. Your time starts
Thank
now.
Ilana. First of all, I wish to say that William is an amazing person, amazing ambassador, amazing diplomat. So, regarding the international affairs, we promised that we're going to maintain and even expand the foreign relations and actually start doing meetings and treaties and activities. As about my foreign minister, which I cannot yet reveal because I still need to finish up my cabinet, which is almost done because I was elected yesterday. He's experienced. He did that. He did actually they did the job before. They have experience in international affairs and they have experience within the United Nations.
Thank you, Agnian. I'm going to move on to Nicholas now. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can, but I will judge you. Your time starts now.
No, I'll give you a break. Thank you again. Well, as it so happens, I'm the actual shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs for Fianna Fáil in the new government, and we'll say my experience, it does come a lot from the old Irelands, as we'd like to call them in the community. You know, I have been Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then before have the experience in negotiating, reaching out to other nations. I know this doesn't apply to Ireland at the moment, but getting Ireland, the old Irelands, into UNs. You know, I was able to achieve that a number of times. A lot of splits, unfortunately, at the time. But we'll say I'd also like to reach out to Levi, who was also up in the UN. He was a high-ranking official in it, but I would actually bring him on as an advisor to help me reach out to other nations and to give me guidance as well, because I know the community has changed in recent years. But he would be very good in helping me in that regard to reaching out, negotiating, and solidifying Ireland's place in the community.
Thank you, Nicholas. We're now going to move on to James Aitchison. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I cannot. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so when it comes to foreign affairs and international relations, as I'm sure we all are aware, it is an ever-changing situation. New and interesting folk appear all the time. When it comes to that, Fine Gael's quite strong. We are quite steadfast in the belief that we need to protect our sovereignty. You know, like I said, I briefly did touch on it as well about state visits being in game and stuff like that as well. Just not doing activity on the international feed, where you know we're obviously showing off our own game activity, but obviously giving our emergency services those chances as well. I think when it comes to international politics in general, it has a great scope and a great opportunity for our community. You know, people talk about treaties and they sign treaties and we ratify treaties in the Dáil, and no harm. Most of it's a load of shite. You know, a tree would probably be more useful to the community. I think realistically what we can do through those treaties is actually work and develop something that's meaningful. You know, you can get judicial treaties that actually do allow bar certifications through the different jurisdictions and stuff, and which will obviously, you know, it makes it easier for people to practice law here, and vice versa, and stuff like that actually does revitalize things and has that opportunity to do so if utilized correctly. And you know, you have those, you know, joint policing operations. You know, you have joint military operations, stuff like that. Something that is a bit of crack, a bit of fun, not too serious, and actually does something for the community rather than just a rubber stamp opportunity. And I think that's something that we all should be trying to get at. You know, at the end of the day, we're obviously trying to get votes and stuff.
I'm afraid
but,
that's
you know,
all we have
something that's
time for,
meaningful and
James.
long-lasting.
Sorry. I completely lost track of time there.
Always cut me off.
Yeah. Okay. In fairness, I always give you the extra 10 seconds because you like to add a bit on. But you went. I gave you.
Slow.
I gave you an extra 34 seconds there. Okay, buddy. 34. Do you know what people can do in 34 seconds? Actually, I won't start. I won't talk about who lasts 34 seconds and who doesn't. We'll move on anyway. I think everyone has answered that question. Please correct me if I'm wrong again because I'm not very organized at the moment. We're going to move on to question 2 though. Which is the final question of the International Affairs segment. Some have labelled the department as undemocratic, or more accurately, run primarily by civil servants. Do you and your party plan on changing this if elected? And I swear to God, if our viewers can hear the soundboard at home, I'm going to kill myself live on air. I'm going to put a revolver in my mouth. So if you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. We're going to start with James, because poor James did get cut off after going 30 seconds over time there. James, your time starts now.
because I can last kill you and you can't. So basically, when it comes to shut up. When it comes to the department, I completely do trust in William. Will is a great guy. William Cathcart, he's a great guy. He has a good heart. His intentions are well. And you know, at the end of the day, he knows what he's talking about. Obviously, I will have different views on Lewis. We don't see eye to eye. I think that's very common considering his very open remarks in the general chats. That said, I do respect him as an individual. He does have Irish interests at heart, and I completely respect him for that. Might not agree with him or like him as an individual, but I do respect him. In terms of changes and stuff, I trust William to make the right decision. Now, personally, I think government should have more say when it comes to international affairs and actually have that kind of say and input, and it shouldn't be just decided by unelected civil servants. But I do trust them, and they are experts in their fields. If that kind of makes sense, I know that was a political answer, but I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, James. I didn't cut you off there. See how nice I can be when I feel polite and generous? Right. We're going to move on to Ognian. Ognian, if you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. Your time starts now.
Well, thank you, Lana. No, I think the Department of Foreign Affairs is not undemocratic and it is doing its job to maintain diplomatic relations impartially, which is really important. I believe I trust William. I love William. I have no doubts in his abilities to lead diplomatic relations, but I believe the Minister of Foreign Affairs could still propose policies, could still give policies on behalf of the government, meet with people, but I just believe in case of caretaker governments and in general, the civil servants should maintain these relations and help the government to keep them because I trust these impartial civil servants than greedy politicians because let's be honest, sometimes they're cases where greedy politicians would try to abuse it. I prefer impartial civil servants which would ensure our authority and integrity and reputation on the global stage.
Thank you, Ognian. Very punctual there. We're going to move on to probably my least favorite person on the stage, Nicholas Crawshaw. Nicholas, you have 60 seconds. If you'd like, stop. If you'd like me to repeat the question, I can. Your time starts now.
Repeat the question. Thank you.
I will. Some have labelled the department as undemocratic, or more accurately, run primarily by civil servants. Do you and your party plan on changing this if elected? Your time starts now.
Could you repeat it again? No, it's okay. The civil servants play a big role in the continuity of all the departments. Ministers come and go. Civil servants are there generally a lot longer. They oversee the department. I remember when I was Minister of Communities, when I got first appointed, it was the civil servants at the time who gave me a rundown of what's going on in that department, kind of what needs to be done, and what way they were looking at what the future might hold for the department. You know, the civil servants play that important role. Again, as I said, I would like to bring on my own advisors as well. As I said, Levi Knott, I think he'd be a great help to the department as well in his personal capacity. But the civil servants definitely, they have that important role. They're doing a good job at the moment. I have no issues with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Very punctual. So that's everyone. We do have the segments done, but we do actually have one last segment here. I prepared a question personally. It's more targeted questions, I'd call them. I'll call them the targeted question segment for each party leader. So I do expect some more blunt answers to this because the questions are much more blunt. I'm going to start with Ognian. Ognian, the previous Labour government has been accused of inactivity and instability. What's changed this time around?
Well, let's just say our cabinet is changed. We have a new leader, active leader. I think she was amazing person, but I think with the policies outlined which are focused on transparency and forcing the government to be active via, for example, questions to the people, legislative reports, and actually the government being accountable both to the public and to the area, I believe. That we're going to be active. Yeah, I believe the last governments weren't the best, but there has been worse, there has been better, I agree. But looking into the future, I think if elected, of course, some administrations won't go downhill in the next 2 weeks and go inactive in most nations' governments. In fact, I have plans for the entire term, which could keep Jeremy
I'm
busy and
afraid that's
run
all we have time for,
hyper-strategic
Agni,
building.
sorry. So I'm going to move on to Nicholas. Nicholas, it seems Fianna Fáil have been criticised by opponents due to the safeguarding concerns of your leader and refusing to adjourn Dáil sittings. Why should voters trust your party?
Sorry there. Well, look, I'm not going to lie. There have been some issues within Fianna Fáil, but we'll say to the members that there were some issues too. From what I've learned, Craw and the member have made up, and everything now seems to be okay between in that regard. In terms of all sittings, look, currently I'm serving in the Shannon. I can't very much say what has been going on in the Dáil. I haven't been present just because I didn't need to be present. I was in the Shannon. That's where I was voting. That's where I was attending. But would say Fianna Fáil over the past number of weeks, even month to, has changed. It's a lot better now. It has changed. Party members are a lot more happy. Everything is going a lot more better within the party. The structures are there now for the safeguarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. My final question is for James Aitchison of Fine Gael. This is the targeted question. Mr. Aitchison, many have considered your time as Fine Gael leader to be substantially insignificant. Last debate, we asked you at RTE what you would do differently to win more seats, but it seems you remain at low amounts, at a low amount of votes. What are you doing differently to change this, and why didn't this change last election?
Well, Killian, actually, I know how much you love a good fact check. If you actually looked at your facts, you'll notice that we actually did increase in our seats and we actually increased in our vote share, which is actually quite significant for a party that has historically been, quite plateaued, and that's to do with the
Well,
rise of other
yeah,
parties.
I'd just like to
What
clarify
we're
though, it's not
doing
bigger
though,
than the seat count you had when it's not bigger than the seat count you had when you took over Fine Gael.
ups, but we did go down and we're going back up. And I think that's what you have to remember. There was an increase from the previous election. And it's something that we are proud of. Obviously, like any movement, it's progressive and there's a lot of moving parts. And we're obviously working quite hard. Look at the campaign channel, there's not very many parties that are actively campaigning. Fine Gael was actually one of the ones that's first off the block. And we are actively trying. We've put out a manifesto. I know Fianna Fáil is doing the same. I hope Labour and the rest of the guys also join in on that. What we're doing and what we're trying, we're obviously, like I did talk about, is those new faces that are coming up. I've got a new deputy, I've got a new chairperson, and we're actually actively giving these people opportunities to grow. Now, look, personally, it's not a power hungry thing. It's I'm giving these people a chance because hopefully someday, and I'm hoping I don't want to say it's very, very, very soon, as in tomorrow, but like realistically within this next term or maybe the term afterwards, that these guys will eventually take over the reins and lead the party. I don't want to see the party die. Like, I'll be completely honest with you, Killian. Last election, Conor, myself, and the Electoral Commission, we've all had a very frank conversation about Fine Gael and its current status. And it's sadly being deregistered and a new party coming in. Obviously now, because of the election results, that was not talked about anymore. We got into government, then there was issues with Labour, all the rest of it happened. But yeah, there's Social Democrats are now in that same situation, and Sinn Féin's in that position, and it all changes, and that's the joys of Irish politics. No party's on top forever, and it does change.
Yeah.
Like, look at the Social Democrat surge and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, James.
Can I
That is the
say
end.
something?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
James, you mentioned there about new members coming in and new members taking over. How long have you been serving as Fine Gael leader now?
Ooh.
How long? That's a good question.
Yeah,
I
because
honestly don't know.
you're talking about new members coming in. Surely there have been new members before this as well that might have been capable of taking over. But is there some reason that this didn't happen?
I'll be completely transparent because personally, as an individual, I am quite blunt and I'm quite transparent. There are new people that came in, and if you look at the people who were sitting in our doll and people who are sitting in our cabinets and stuff, they were there, but it was just sadly, things happened and they left. They were the community died, they were no longer engaged, or activity issues and real life issues. As the joys of such. But I'm quite confident that the people that are in now are actively engaged and thoroughly engaged in it. And the old guard within Fine Gael, I think I'm honestly one of the last ones left. Vicky obviously left because she's joined the deep state. Kenny has I don't know what. Kenny's on coke. I don't know. But yeah, like there's people like that who were the original old guard are now left, and like you do see new people coming in, like Max, who was correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was in Fianna Fáil and he left over Craw, which a lot of members within Fianna Fáil have done because of his toxicity. All I have to do is look at my own DMs and any of my TD DMs, and it's an absolute carnage. It's an absolute clusterfuck. And to be honest with you, there's serious safeguarding issues there because the way he talks to people is the way
Sorry, no, you're deflecting now. You're deflecting away from the from Fine Gael issues to the Fianna Fáil.
Yes, but I think
your
also,
own role.
Nick, like, look, no harm. We're good friends, and I'll be completely honest with you. And I don't blame you for this. I think it's something that your own leader needs to take serious count of and accountability and apologize to people for, because it's not okay to talk to people the way he talks to people. Like, it's horrendous. Like, it's not okay. And at the end of the day, it's a game, and no wonder things and people aren't engaged. It's because people talk to you like that.
Can I just say, go on, I'll let you speak, Arian, whatever your name is.
Yeah, go ahead, I respond. Alright, never mind. So Crow was leader of the opposition for 100 days. When I was leader of the Senate, he legit DM'd me why tried to defect me. I was asking, did he read the government program? He said yes, but he didn't realize I was member of the government he's trying to defect. Also, I got constant DMs from your leader about his toxicity, etc. He had failed to do any coalitions or to get in government. How can Fianna Fáil actually get in government with him?
Sorry, no. Fianna Fáil made every attempt to try and get in government. It was other parties who wouldn't put the politics before themselves that refused to go into within Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
It's not.
Like, I know you're talking about me when it comes to that, though, and I'll be completely honest why I didn't go in, because Craw was very adamant about, obviously Labour was saying no, Social Democrats were saying no. He wanted to go in with Sinn Féin, and it was the issue that I had with Callum and his links with Britain, because he was being investigated by the National Security Council over his links with Britain and his British links, and the OSA risk that was with that. That was why I didn't go with him, and that's why I went with Labour. And I told him that, and he wasn't happy, and hence why I got an absolute carnage in my DMs that looked like someone was fucking a ragdoll. Like, it was horrendous. Like, it's not okay. So, like, I know what you're referring to. I don't blame you. I think you're a lovely guy. And we get on really, really well. But the issue I have is shut up, Killian. The issue I do have is with Craw. Like, I'll categorically say this: if Craw is your leader, and miraculously Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have to go into government together, if that's the only option, I'm not going to do it with Craw as leader, because no harm. My mental health would be totally fucked.
Well, Jamie, I don't blame you. If I recall correctly, Crow called one of his TDs faggots or something in their leadership. Jesse, I believe there was. Well, I don't understand.
I'm just gonna pop in to say we don't need to quote every word from the group chat. But it is very much appreciated, because that is a favorite word of mine. I use it in my common everyday vernacular. But we don't need to be quoting it.
You said you need something spicy.
Yeah, spicy, not you slurs. I've lost it. Okay, I've lost it. Right. I just want to say that when I took over as Director General, my policy was not to allow this kind of thing to happen. Right. So what we're going.
Right, can I replace it with
Of course, you can.
Well, you said it now. It's live. There's no replacing.
Jamie, give me ideas.
Look, can I just come in and say one thing that you?
Words. He said no words.
Nicholas, you come in. Nicholas, you come in.
You said you were the Labour leader in the Seanad, did you not?
Yeah, it's in Labour.
Yeah, no, but you were the Labour leader in the Seanad.
Yes.
Where were you? I've gone to countless Seanad sessions. I know you moved to the Dáil.
Well, I was.
But there was many times in the Seanad there was no Labour or no government representative at all to present the bills. They weren't even.
You got confused. You got me confused. I was leader of the Senate during Crave. When Como became leader, I moved to the Deverma. But when I was leader of the Senate, I missed, guess how many sessions? 0.
What? Well,
Oh,
if I was looking at your Dole record, I couldn't really believe you,
As
but I'm not going to say you're
TDS.
wrong.
As TDS, but as senator, no.
right. Nicholas, you can have the last word on this, but we do have to move on.
No, I'll let you move on. I'll let you move on.
Right, we do have to move on. RT would like to apologize for the I don't even know. I've never had to make this address in my life. I didn't think I'd have to say something like this. RT would like to apologize for our colourful language used in today's debate, and no matter how accurate the words are used to describe other people. So we're gonna move on here. We've gone through international affairs, we've gone through targeted questions, we've gone through domestic and economic affairs. I'm pretty sure that is all the questions. So, would you party leaders like a little ending statement? Would we like that? By the way, Nicholas is not in game,
Yeah,
but
sure.
we'll move on. But yeah, we'll do a little ending statement there. I'll begin with James Aitchison because he seems to be the most eager. James, you have 60 seconds for your final statement.
You know me, Killian. I'm as eager as a ram to shag a sheep. Honestly, when it comes to things in Ireland, I think shut up. I think we need to like seriously, unite when it comes to things like, we have so many opportunities, so many different avenues that we as individuals can go down. It's just they're not being utilized. Labour has failed us completely, has nailed the coffin, buried it in Glasnevin. It is absolutely gone, dead, dusted, whatever. And we need to do something about that. In like 1916, surely didn't the leaders, it was all hope, there was no hope for an Irish Republic, and look where we are now, an Irish Republic. It might take a while, but we got there. And like, there's all hope. At the end of the day, we need that hope to try and keep alive, and I think Fine Gael offers that. We talked about that. We talked about Irish economy. We talked about that. We talked about disaster situations within the game. We talked about the Irish football. And the movements within that, the League of Ireland, all that kind of stuff. There's so many opportunities that we can go down. It's just people need to become creative, need to have that hope, need to actually unite behind something and actually have an active government for once. And I think that's what we're kind of going for. And for some reason, I really sound Welsh, but yeah, that's where we're going for.
Right. I'd like to move on. Nicholas, to a question to address your question in DMs, do we all get one pass to say a slur now? We don't, unfortunately. I wish I could, because I know one I'd say, but it would probably be the label of James Aitchison. But we're gonna move on now. I'm gonna go to Ogden now. Ogden, you've 60 seconds for your final statement. Your time starts now.
First of all, I want to thank you and your front desk for having me to account and writing these indeed quite spicy questions and interesting to the importance of the Irish people. The Labour Party is with new visions, but still remains with its core values. We're either in oppositions or in government. We're going to represent our electorate. We're going to represent the people who vote for us, no matter the results. I wish to encourage people to vote no matter what's the current activity. I wish to go Pokemon to the polls. There is nothing going to stop you to go and just click two buttons, which from what I have seen, some people are too lazy to click two buttons.
Right. Thank you, Ognian. I'm now going to move to Nicholas Crawshaw for your final statement as representative for Fianna Fáil. You've 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Thank you very much.
Two-faced bitch.
Sorry. Look, one thing I've been thinking about throughout this debate is that Labour are not the party.
I'm using my rose.
They've been keep blaming this game. The game's not up. The game's not up. It's more than just a game. When Labour were in government in the summer, activity died. Labour were in government during the winter months. Activity is dying. Fianna Fáil is offering a real opportunity to get activity back up and running. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be done overnight. It's going to take time to get activity back up and running. But we are not just looking at the next government. We are looking beyond that. If the next government is without Fianna Fáil, we will do everything that we can to help activity within Ireland. We want activity up. We want things for players to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. 8.83 seconds away from finishing there. I'm sorry, I keep using those numbers because you must have a timer on you or something, because you are very precise with your ending. So I want to thank all party leaders for attending this debate. Party representatives, of course, and for those who couldn't attend, let's hope that it works out next time. To our viewers at home, thank you so much for sticking around. I believe there's around 8 of you, which, considering the circumstances we face, is quite a substantial amount. And in all fairness to the party leaders and representatives, they performed quite brilliantly, and I want to thank them for coming around to make this happen together. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see a teaser for our upcoming election night, Ireland, and a cute little ballot box. That is because RTÉ is coming back with fresh branding this election night, because it is my first one. I want to kind of spruce it up a bit. A fresh brand for a historic show. RTÉ, as your state broadcaster, has been serving you news and events and political coverage for around 3 years now, which is a substantial period of time, and we want to thank our viewers who've stuck around with us for that amount of time. And even if you've just tuned in for this election night, or this debate rather, then we thank you for that too. I want to thank the hosts beside me for sitting there and looking pretty despite not actually serving a function. That is Football Loving, the Chief Ambulance Officer of the National Ambulance Service, and Jamie, who plays a huge role in the League of Ireland, to my knowledge, and Premier Media. This has been the December 2023 election debate. Please be sure to tune in to election night on Saturday this weekend. I've been Killian Clark, reporting for RTÉ News. Thank you.